The detainee drama will dominate the final week of Parliament as the government scrambles to pass new laws to put many of them back behind bars. Joining me now live is Shadow Immigration Minister Dan Tehan. Good morning, thanks for joining us. Are you satisfied with these new laws?
Well, Danica, we just got them late last night. We'll get a briefing this morning at 10 a.m. this morning. We're going through them. What we want to achieve is we want to work with the government so all the incompetence and chaos that we've seen from the last 3 weeks from the government, we can turn into bipartisanship that will lead to us getting the toughest laws possible in place. But these laws will be important. But it's also important that the government doesn't take its eye off the ball in finding countries that will take the detainees, because the High Court also said if we can find countries to send the deportees to, then they can be re-detained and they can begin that process again. So the government has two jobs here. One is to get these new preventative detention orders right, but the second is also to make sure they're doing everything they can to find countries to take these detainees.
All right, so then what sort of amendments would you be seeking to add?
Well, we want to help the government get the laws right. The government's shown already that they're not very good at doing that. So we're going to try and work with them to try and make sure they get the laws right. What we've seen from them so far is a we know best approach. Now, my hope is today we won't see that, because they're complicated laws and the government needs to get them right. So we'll work as cooperatively with them as they will let us, and hopefully it will be proper bipartisanship. And if we can achieve that, then hopefully the government will get the laws right. So that's what our aim is. We're meeting with the government at 10 a.m. this morning, but we also don't want them to take the focus off, like they were doing in the last gasp before the High Court made the decision, and they should have been doing this a lot earlier, going around to other countries and finding countries that will take the detainees, because the High Court's made it clear if we have a country that we can send these people to, then we can re-detain them and we can send them, we can deport them.
All right, so you've indicated then bipartisan support. So are you going to tick off on it? There's only a couple of days to get this done.
Well, it depends. I mean, last week in the Parliament, the government said, oh, we want bipartisanship. They called us in at 8 o'clock in the morning with no notice, gave us a bill. One of the bills didn't even have the explanatory memorandum, and said, we want you to pass it. Now, we are not going to put our vote towards a bad piece of legislation. So let's see how the government goes about it this time, whether they really want to engage with us properly, and we want to try and get the laws as right as we possibly can. It's not easy to do. We know that people out there looking to challenge these laws are getting the High Court. So it'll very much depend on the government and the approach that they take. My hope is that Anthony Albanese will get involved. He doesn't like getting into detail, but he needs to on this, because the detail is important. This is about keeping the community safe. So hopefully the Prime Minister will take it upon himself for the first time, I think really in 18 months, to get across the detail, because he needs to. And I know Peter Dutton's across the detail because he actually has done this job previously.
Dan Tehan, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.